How many steps do you have to do each day if you want to lose 1 kilogram of body fat? This is what we're going to answer exactly, calculated with the right methodology to show you exactly how much you have to walk if you want to get rid of some extra weight. Now, it was actually quite a spontaneous decision for me to do this topic because like literally last night, how this all came together is like I was hanging out with a friend of mine, Mitch, if you see this, shout out to you. And he's a business owner. He works primarily from home, so his business is online. He's doing very well. And we just talked about life, about business, and about a lot of other things. And also because he was about to enter his fat loss phase. He wants to trim a little bit down, get a little bit in better shape. And we were talking obviously a lot of things, nutrition, training. And then we also went to the thing, and I told him, like, dude, like one of the important things is like you have to make sure you're getting sufficient steps per day. Your activity is at a certain degree, because I know for a fact he doesn't go out as much. He works from home. He can order almost everything to his home. He barely goes out, and yeah, he's just like not outside a lot. And if you're not outside a lot, it becomes a little bit more difficult to be as active. And then we were like, oh, let's actually, like, how many steps do you do per day? Like, because that's the most important, like the easiest metric to track. How many steps do you do per day? And he was like, oh, I don't know, actually. So we pulled up his phone. His iPhone had to like log him for the first time into the health app on iPhone, and then realized that he was doing on average over the last months already 11,000 steps per day while being almost entirely at home. And I was like, dude, like this is actually good. Like you're doing as many as I do, and I go out like quite frequently. Like, how do you do that? He doesn't have a treadmill desk at home. He doesn't have like, like an outside area. Like he lives in a 2-story apartment building. Like it's not a small apartment though, but you have to do some effort to get like to 11,000 steps, especially at home. And I was like, dude, like how do you do that? Like this is wild. And he looked at me and he was like, I mean, I'm walking around in my apartment. Every time I reply to a client, every time I give someone feedback, every time I'm on the phone, I walk around in circles throughout the apartment, sometimes up, sometimes down. He says it also helps him to be a little bit more like mentally in a flow state, creative. And that's how by the end of the day, he gets to 11,000 steps on average, because we looked at it. I have the screenshot. I shared it with my clients. I posted it on my socials. There were days where he was doing 20,000 steps almost entirely from home. And this is just like the story, like how we got to the topic essentially. But it's just wild. It just proves like even if you work from home, even if you have a quote unquote a desk job and you're not that active, it's not that you're working an office job. It's just like you're not seeing the opportunity necessarily to be more active. Because even if you're working in an office, like I have my guys inside the program, if they have like a very sedentary job, look, quick tips just to like enhance that. If you work from home, get yourself a treadmill desk, ideally in combination with a standing desk, like what I'm having right now here, because I am standing. I don't have a treadmill desk right here. I have one in my office in Switzerland, but not right here. Get yourself, like if you work a lot from home, this is one of the best investments you can have. Every client that I have that I told them to get it says like, oh my God, this is amazing. So do that. Treadmill desk is a great hack. Standing desk if you're working from home a lot. If you're working from the office and it's maybe like company policy that you can't get it, switch companies. Just joking. Even then, for example, what you could do is instead of like taking, let's say, the toilet that is like just around outside your office, take the one that is in a different floor or more down the aisle or something like that. After each meal, go for a quick walk instead of sitting down in the dark, artificially lightened cafeteria with the people who you don't anyway want to talk with. Go out, have a walk, get some fresh air, or ideally even like hit the gym, right? There's always opportunities. Or what I also like to do, if by the end of the day you're ending up like kind of like not with enough steps, go for a digestion walk after dinner, and also like to clear out your head before, like when you just like finish some big work at the screen. Go out there, ideally without anything, or listen to like an easy style podcast, no news, no like nothing that like stirs you up. Easy, calm, or take your loved ones with you, even better. Your kids, your wife, your dog, if you have a dog, obviously. Now, these are some easy wins. Now, coming back to the question, How much do you have to walk to lose weight? Because usually what people default to if they think about like, oh, I need to lose weight or I gained some weight because I was not as active and it's difficult for me because I work in an office and whatnot. So they default to like, oh yeah, I need to be more active. I need to start running or I need to start walking more, which in and of itself is not a dumb idea in general. Like to be more active, to do more sports, to do more steps per day is generally not a bad idea. However, if your goal is to improve your body composition, meaning you want to lose body fat without losing any muscle, or in an ideal scenario, even put on a little bit of lean mass, a little bit of muscle, trying to drive the weight loss or the fat loss through running, through walking, is a very low ROI activity. Why is that? We, particularly for that, did the calculation because if you're new here or if you don't know yet how exactly like fat loss and weight loss works, the universal truth is energy balance, right? Energy balance decides everything. If you're losing weight, if you're gaining weight, if you're maintaining weight, if you're eating more calories than you burn, quote unquote, you will gain weight. If you eat right about how many your body needs, you'll stay the same. If you eat less, you will start losing weight. Now, a lot of people think I need to burn more calories, which that's why they go into walking and running and all of that. But that's exactly the problem. This is highly inefficient and a very low ROI activity that you can do. Let me explain you why. Initially, it makes sense. Okay, I need to burn more calories than I'm consuming. So let me burn more, right? Let me burn more. It will be so much easier to do it the other way around. Instead of trying to burn more, which you can do, but not having it as a main lever, consuming less. It doesn't mean you have to starve yourself. It doesn't mean you have to eat salads all day, every day. It doesn't mean you have to like cut your portions in half. Actually, the truth is, the majority of my clients, when I optimize their nutrition frameworks or their meal structure, they actually get to eat more, they feel fuller, and they start losing weight. Because we change the proportions of the food. Of course, like we are increasing fiber, we're increasing protein, we're modifying, we're putting carbs at the right places of the day so it serves them best for their performance, for social occasions, for whenever they need them, if it's like performance-wise or just socially, where is the most appropriate. Because try to be on a keto diet and then go out with your friends. Like you can't even look at the beer. Beer is not keto. Pizza is not keto. Like family pizza evenings, you like forget low carb, all of that. You don't need to go low carb, right? You need to adjust the proportions and ideally in certain amounts, like maybe increase fiber. Like I said, probably most likely increase fiber and do the same with protein. And if you do all of these things, you will naturally already start consuming less calories. And through that, start losing weight. Now let's go back to the example why increasing running or increasing activity or doing more steps to burn fat, to lose weight is not the most ideal way to go. Why is it a low ROI activity? So I did the calculation here for two scenarios. One, if you want to lose half a kilo per week, the other one for 1 kilo per week, right? So if you're not aware of it, if you want to lose a kilo of fat per week, you have to be roughly in a 7,700 calorie deficit per week. So that means per day, roughly like 1,100 calorie deficit per day. For half a kilo, obviously half of that. So let's start with that one. For half a kilo per week, you have to be around 3,850 calories in a deficit. Now, how many steps would you have to do to reach that? So that means per day, that would be around like 550 calories. To burn 550 additional calories, because you have to imagine you have to do that additionally if you're not changing your nutrition. Imagining this scenario counts now if you're not changing anything about your nutrition. You're doing the same. You're just trying to lever your calorie output, your energy burned through, first we do steps, then we do running. 550 calories additionally per day. Imagining you would be a 90 kilo man. This calculation is around 90 kilo man, although it's not going to vary if you're like 100, a little bit more, but it's going to be around the same. To burn half a kilo per week, you have to do additionally every day 11,700 additional steps. So if right now If you're listening to this, there's a high chance you're probably not doing enough steps as you should. Imagine doing an additional almost 12,000 fucking on top. That's a shit ton of steps you have to do on top. I currently do. I'm in my fat loss phase right now too, trimming, cleaning up a little bit. And I do right now like 10,000. It suits me well. I don't have to like mentally do a lot of effort for do that. It naturally happens to. Maybe later I start going more like towards, let's say 10, 11 or 12. But you would have to do an additional 11,700 steps per day. Now imagine if you want to do a kilo per week, because that's honestly like, that's what the majority of my clients lose in like the first 4 to 6, in some cases even the first 8 weeks, because in the beginning you can accelerate fat loss a little bit by using the right tactics. So most of them in the first 4 to 8 weeks lose a kilo per week. If you want to do that only through activity, you would have to do, for 1 kilo per week, an additional 23,400 steps per day. Who does that? And you tell me now, like, how realistic that is. Now, if we want to compare that, like, okay, yeah, not running, of course, it's not like time efficient. I can do it faster. Let me go running, so I burn more calories faster. Let's put that make the math on that. So if you run, you're going to burn a little bit more calories because you're quicker also at the same time. To burn 500 calories per day, let's say 550, you would have to run 5 kilometers. If you want to burn a kilo, that's more like 10.5 kilometers per day, every day. Per 10 kilometers every day if you want to lose a kilo per week. Now you tell me, running 10 kilometers every day, if you're decent pace, you can do that in an hour. Do you have every day 1 hour just to go running? You tell me, how realistic is that? Now let me tell you how long it's going to take you to save 500 calories every day, or even 1,000. If you do it the right way, if you optimize your nutrition. Let's say the stupidest example is like, okay, let's just skip on the dessert, not have cake or have something else. It took you 3 seconds. You don't have to do any extra effort. You have to modify your nutrition a little bit so you naturally don't even crave sweets again, because the problem is not we have to take sweets away from you. So you have to use all your discipline and you have to go Rocky Balboa mentality, David Goggins, Die Hard 75 or whatever that is called, which I think is absolutely unnecessary. If you like unnecessary suffering, go for it. If you want to do it the smart way, don't do it. Because like coming back to the point, like that's what I do with my members too. Like the majority of them, especially in the first like 10, 20 weeks, they're going to be like, I'm not hungry at all. I actually sometimes feel like I eat more than I did before. But the crazy thing is, I'm like dropping off the weight like it's nothing. And then you sprinkle in some resistance training. It shapes the body. Well, you can always keep in mind what is the easiest way to formulate it is, what you eat will decide your weight / body fat. What you eat will decide your body fat. How you train, how good you train will decide how you look at that body fat. Because your training is here to shape your body, to sculpt your body. Your nutrition is here to strip off the fat and make you look lean. So if you don't want to run 10 kilometers every single day, for weeks, because obviously you probably just don't want to lose like 1 kilo and then you're done. Probably like if you're here, or most people like usually want to lose, let's say at least 5, maybe you want to lose 10, maybe you want to lose 15. The thing is, if you would, just hypothetically, if you would run every day 10 kilometers, yeah, you might lose in the first week, maybe even in the second week. But the problem is with that, your body will become more efficient. There is something that will also happen that is called metabolic adaptation. You can look that up. There have been some horrific studies. You can't do that in humans, obviously, because it's a little bit unethical. But they did these studies in rats, and we have actually the proof from observational studies in humans too, that, for example, when you put a rat on a diet, let's say, loses the weight, regains it, there is something that calls in the body's self-defense mechanism. So what's going to happen is if you put that rat on the exact same diet, they're going to start losing the weight in half the time. Not half the time, the opposite, in double the time. They need double as long So it's half as effective. You let the rat go through that again, regain the weight again, and if you want to do it again, it drops again. They did these studies, you can look that up, and we see that in humans too. These like continuous yo-yo dieting, the more you do it, the more difficult it becomes, and end up just like every year, every time, like it becomes more and more difficult. Yes, so the goal for you is, if you're watching this, if you've had, or if you're listening to this, if you have multiple attempts in the past, that you make sure the next time you do it, you don't do the same stupid shit as you did before, because if it would have worked, then you wouldn't be in this situation right now. You have to do it properly, so you only have to do it one more time. Because, I don't know, like I have better things to do every New Year's Eve. I'd rather work on new goals rather than the same old every single time, and try to like figure this out again. So if you want to do it one time and properly, you have to address it primarily first from the nutrition side. Forget about running initially if you're busy, if you don't have a lot of time. Focus on resistance training 2 times a week and you're golden. If you optimize your nutrition and you get somewhat decent sleep, you're already doing 80% of it. It sounds very simple. A lot of the guys that talk to me and say like, oh, what is your secret? How do you do it? Like, I'm like we don't do anything crazy. We just do what we do, very simplified and very time efficient and very effective, so that it doesn't cost you a ton of time, a ton of mental effort, a ton of mental bandwidth, and you can focus your energy on the things that matter most, right? Keeping it simple, keeping it straightforward, keeping it effective. We're doing the 20% that give you 80% of the result. The unfortunate truth is most of the people do the 80% that give them 20% of the results. And then they wonder why, like, oh yeah, I don't have the discipline. I know what I have to do, but I just can't sustain it. Yeah, no, you don't know what you're doing, because exactly that's the reason why you're saying these types of things. So if you want to find out, we actually just re-uploaded a full breakdown of how we already transformed over hundreds of high-performing men in their 40s, in their 50s, also some of them in their 30s, and helped them lose 5, 10, 15, 20 kilograms. It's available online. You can have a look at it. It will be down in the show notes, but you can just go to thefithighperformer.com/strategy. You can have direct access. If you like it, if you want to explore more, you down below then also have access to book a free intro call where we're going to have a casual chat, just have a look at your situation and see what would be the most appropriate strategy for your given lifestyle, for your given responsibilities, for your given goal. So you can integrate that in your life and enhance, have more energy, look better, feel better in your body, enhance your professional presence, and ultimately have better relationships. Because in any way, if it's with your partner, if it's with your kids, if it's with your company, if it's with potential prospects, everybody will respect you more. Everybody will look up to you. People just, if you like it or not, they like to mate, do business with, and look up to people who can showcase that they can take care of themselves and also look the part, right? So if you're interested in exploring more how we did that with our 4-phase executive transformation system, down below in the show notes you can find that, and then I'll catch you in the next episode.